It was a quiet night at the office, and I was the only one left working. My colleagues had left hours ago, and the building was eerily silent. I had a big presentation coming up, so I decided to stay late to finish preparing. The only sounds were the hum of the air conditioning and my typing on the keyboard. Around midnight, my phone rang. The screen showed an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" I said, trying to sound calm. A deep, cold voice replied, "You shouldn't be here." My heart skipped a beat. I thought it was a prank, but something about the voice made me uneasy. "Who is this?" I asked, but the caller didn't answer. Instead, I heard a faint click, and the line went dead. I looked around the empty office, trying to shake off the feeling of dread. Maybe it was just someone messing with me. I tried to focus on my work, but my nerves were on edge. I kept glancing at the security feed on my computer, which showed nothing but empty hallways. As I was typing, the lights in the office flickered. I paused and looked up, but the lights soon stabilized. I tried to convince myself it was just a power surge or a problem with the wiring. But then I heard a strange noise, something like a faint scratching sound coming from somewhere in the building. I got up and walked to the hallway, but there was no one there. The security cameras showed the same empty corridors. I tried to ignore the noise and went back to my desk, but I couldn't concentrate. The unsettling feeling persisted, and I kept hearing the scratching sound, now accompanied by what sounded like distant footsteps. I decided to check the security room, which was located on the lower level of the building. Maybe I could find out if someone had entered the building without being noticed. I walked down the dimly lit stairs, every step echoing through the empty space. The security room had a large monitor displaying feeds from all the cameras. I switched to the live feed, looking for anything unusual. At first, everything seemed normal. The cameras showed empty offices and quiet hallways. But then, I noticed something strange, a dark figure moving in one of the feeds. It was hard to make out details, but it looked like someone was walking through the building, deliberately avoiding the cameras. Panic set in. Who could this person be? Why were they avoiding the cameras? I needed to be careful. I decided to stay hidden in the security room and watch the feed. I picked up the phone in the room and dialed the building's security service, but the call went straight to voicemail. I felt trapped. My only option was to stay hidden and wait. The figure on the screen moved closer to the security room. My heart raced as I watched the feed, and the figure was now directly outside the door. I held my breath, hoping they wouldn't notice me. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. I froze. The figure knew I was in there. I could hear the person trying the door handle, but fortunately, it was locked. The knocking stopped, and I heard footsteps moving away. I dared to peek out from my hiding spot and saw the figure disappearing down the hallway on the monitor. I couldn't stay in the security room forever. I had to find a way to get out of the building and call for help. I decided to return to my office and retrieve my phone. As I walked back, I kept my eyes and ears open for any signs of the mysterious figure. When I reached my office, I noticed that the lights had dimmed again. I grabbed my phone and tried to call for help once more, but there was still no signal. I realized I needed to leave the building and get somewhere with a working phone. I made my way to the main entrance, but the door was locked. I tried another exit, but it was also secured. It seemed like someone had locked the building's doors from the outside, trapping me inside. My fear grew. The figure had to be someone who knew the building well, someone who was prepared. I decided to use the emergency exit. I made my way to the stairwell, hoping it would lead me out. As I descended the stairs, I heard the scratching noise again, this time coming from the stairwell. I stopped and listened carefully. The noise was getting closer. I continued down the stairs cautiously. When I reached the ground floor, I found the emergency exit door propped open with a piece of wood. It looked like someone had been here recently. I pushed the door open and stepped out into the alley behind the building. I was finally outside, but I didn't feel safe yet. I ran to the nearest payphone and dialed 911, explaining the situation. I waited anxiously, looking back at the office building. Soon, I saw the flashing lights of police cars approaching. I felt a sense of relief but also dread. What if the figure had left something behind? What if they were still inside? The police arrived and entered the building. They conducted a thorough search and eventually came out. They told me that they found no one inside the building and that the security footage was tampered with. The figure I saw on the monitor had been an intruder, but they had managed to evade capture. The police took my statement and promised to investigate further. I knew I had to return to the building in the morning and retrieve my work, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The phantom caller and the intruder were still a mystery, and I didn't know what would happen next. The next day, I returned to the office with the police. They had changed the locks and installed additional security measures. As I went through my work, I couldn't help but feel that I was being watched. The memory of the phantom caller and the mysterious figure haunted me. In the end, I never found out who the caller was or what their intentions were. But one thing was clear: I was not safe, even in a place as familiar as my office. The experience taught me to be more cautious and aware of my surroundings. And even though the danger seemed to have passed, I knew I would always be on edge, wondering if the phantom caller would ever return. The office was quiet and dark, except for the soft glow of my desk lamp. Everyone had gone home hours ago, leaving me alone in the building. I was working on a critical report for an important client, so I decided to stay late to get it done. The silence was comforting, and I was deep in concentration when a sudden knock at the door startled me. I checked the clock, 11:30 p.m. Who could be knocking at this hour? I walked cautiously to the door, my mind racing. When I opened it, I saw a delivery person standing there with a large, unmarked package. "Delivery for you," he said, handing me the box. I was confused. I hadn't ordered anything, and there was no return address on the package. I took it, and the delivery person quickly left without saying another word. I closed the door and set the box on my desk. My curiosity was piqued, but I hesitated to open it. I had a strange feeling about this package. I examined the box carefully. It was plain brown with no labels or markings. I cut through the tape and opened it slowly. Inside, there were several items wrapped in plain brown paper. I unwrapped the first item, which turned out to be an old-fashioned key. There was no note or explanation, just the key lying there. My anxiety grew. What was this key for? I unwrapped the second item, which was a small, leather-bound journal. I opened the journal and found it filled with handwritten notes and sketches of the office building's floor plan. There were also strange symbols and annotations on the pages, but nothing made much sense. I felt a chill run down my spine. The journal seemed to be detailing areas of the building that I didn't recognize. My fingers trembled as I flipped through the pages. The final item in the box was a map of the office building. The map had several locations marked with red XS and cryptic notes scribbled in the margins. I was now thoroughly unnerved. Whoever sent this package knew a lot about the building and its layout. I decided to investigate the locations marked on the map. I grabbed a flashlight from the supply closet and headed out into the darkened building. The first marked location was in the basement. As I walked down the stairs, every creak seemed louder in the silence. The basement was usually cold and dimly lit. I used my flashlight to guide the way and arrived at the spot marked on the map. There was nothing visibly out of the ordinary, a few old storage boxes and cleaning supplies. I checked the notes in the journal again. The annotations next to the basement location mentioned something about hidden access. I carefully examined the area, moving boxes around and shining my flashlight into every corner. I didn't find anything unusual, so I decided to move on to the next location. The second location was on the third floor, near the conference room. As I walked through the empty offices, I felt an unsettling presence. The air seemed heavier, and the silence felt oppressive. When I reached the conference room, I found it locked. I checked the map and journal again. The note next to this location was cryptic: "Beneath the surface, secrets lie." I was puzzled. I looked around the conference room for any hidden compartments or unusual features but found nothing. I considered moving on, but something about this location nagged at me. I decided to inspect the room's floor closely. The carpet seemed normal, but I noticed a small, loose tile near the wall. I used a small tool I had brought to lift the tile. Underneath was a small compartment with a metal box inside. My heart raced as I opened the box, only to find more papers and a second key. The papers detailed various illegal activities involving high-level executives. I felt a surge of fear. Whoever had sent these packages was trying to expose something serious. I had one last location to check: the top floor, in the old archives room. This room was rarely used, and the door was usually locked. I reached the top floor and found the archives room door slightly ajar. I pushed it open cautiously. The room was filled with dusty old files and boxes. I used my flashlight to search through the clutter, guided by the notes in the journal. After searching for what felt like hours, I finally found a small, hidden compartment behind a stack of old file cabinets. Inside was a third key and another journal, this one filled with detailed instructions on how to access a hidden room in the building. I felt a mix of excitement and dread. The instructions detailed how to find the hidden room and what to look for once inside. According to the journal, this room contained evidence of a major conspiracy involving several prominent figures. I followed the instructions carefully and finally located the hidden room. The door was concealed behind a false wall and a storage closet. I used the keys I had found to unlock it. As I entered, I saw shelves filled with files, photographs, and documents. The evidence was overwhelming. My hands shook as I looked through the documents. It was clear that a huge scandal was being covered up. The files included records of illegal deals, bribes, and other illicit activities. I knew I had to get this information to the authorities, but I was also scared. What if someone found me here? What if they were watching me? I quickly gathered as much evidence as I could into a bag. I needed to leave the building and get to a safe place to contact the authorities. As I turned to leave, I heard a noise, a distant thud followed by footsteps. Someone was in the building with me. Panic set in. I had to escape before I was discovered. I moved quickly but quietly through the darkened corridors, avoiding the areas where I had heard the noises. My heart pounded as I made my way to the exit. I reached the main entrance and found it locked. I tried the emergency exit, but it was also secured. It felt like someone had anticipated my every move. I decided to return to the hidden room and wait for a moment when I could slip out undetected. I waited in the darkened room, my flashlight turned off. I heard footsteps getting closer and closer. I held my breath, praying that whoever was searching for me wouldn't find me. The footsteps stopped outside the door. I could hear muffled voices, and then the sound of the door being opened. I stayed perfectly still, hoping they wouldn't notice me. The intruders didn't seem to find anything suspicious, and their footsteps moved away. I waited a few more minutes before deciding it was safe to leave. I made my way back to the emergency exit, my nerves on edge. When I finally reached the alley behind the building, I took out my phone and dialed the authorities. I explained everything I had discovered and provided them with the evidence I had gathered. The police arrived quickly and took the documents and other materials for further investigation. They assured me they would look into the matter thoroughly. I watched as they entered the building, feeling a mixture of relief and fear. The mysterious package had led me to uncover something significant, but it had also put me in grave danger. As I walked away from the building, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching me. The investigation had just begun, and the consequences of what I had uncovered were still unknown. But I hoped that by bringing the evidence to light, I had taken the first step towards exposing the truth and protecting myself from further harm. I work late nights in a large, empty office building. My job involves handling sensitive financial data, so I often find myself alone in the office when everyone else has gone home. Tonight, I'm working through a mountain of paperwork, trying to finish a project that's been piling up for weeks. The building is quiet except for the hum of the air conditioning and the occasional creak of the floorboards. Around midnight, I decide to take a quick break. I stretch and walk to the break room, grabbing a cup of coffee. As I sip it slowly, my thoughts drift. I can't shake the feeling that something isn't quite right tonight. It's just a nagging sense, but it's there. Returning to my desk, I sit down and notice a message blinking on my computer screen. It's a system notification about an error in one of the financial reports I'm working on. I open the report and start correcting the mistakes. As I scroll through the document, I accidentally click on a link I don't recognize. A new window pops up on my screen with a folder labeled confidential. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I open the folder. Inside, there are several files with names like Project X and executive bonuses. I'm not supposed to have access to these documents, and my heart starts to race. I know I should close everything and report this, but a strange urge makes me click on the first file. The document contains detailed information about illegal financial transactions and secret deals. My mind races as I read about how executives have been embezzling money and hiding it through fake companies. I realize I've stumbled upon something huge, something that could ruin lives and careers. Just as I'm trying to digest this information, I hear a noise in the hallway, a soft thud, followed by footsteps. I freeze, my heart pounding. It's late, and everyone should be gone. I quickly minimize the window and check the office security system. There are no signs of anyone entering the building. The security cameras show only empty hallways. I try to focus on my work, but the noise outside keeps growing louder. It sounds like someone is moving around in the building. I get up and peek through the glass walls of my office. The hallway is still empty. I feel a cold shiver down my spine. Could it be someone else who has access to the confidential files? I try to shake off my nerves, but the unsettling feeling won't leave. I decide to investigate. I slowly walk down the hallway, my footsteps echoing off the walls. I pass by darkened offices and empty meeting rooms, all bathed in the dim light of the security lamps. The noise has stopped, and now there's only silence. I reach the security room where the building's main control system is located. I check the security feed again, and everything seems normal. As I turn to leave, I notice a door slightly ajar at the end of the hall. It's not a door I recognize, it looks like a storage closet that's supposed to be locked. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I walk over to the door. As I push it open, I see boxes and old furniture piled up. I'm about to turn away when I spot a folder sticking out from under a pile of documents. It's labeled with the same confidential tag I saw earlier. My hands shake as I reach for the folder. I pull it out and open it. Inside are more documents about illegal activities, bribery, cover-ups, and deals with shady organizations. I'm about to close the folder when I hear the sound of footsteps again. This time, they're closer. I shove the folder into my bag and quickly make my way back to my office. My mind races, someone is definitely in the building with me. I need to find out who it is and what they want. I can't afford to get caught with these documents. Back at my desk, I try to stay calm. I keep an eye on the hallway through the glass walls. The footsteps grow louder, and I can hear a muffled voice talking on a phone. I don't recognize the voice, and it doesn't sound like anyone I know. I try to think of a plan. I need to get out of the building, but the thought of leaving the documents behind makes me nervous. I decide to check the exits and see if I can leave without being noticed. I make my way to the nearest exit, but it's locked. The only other exit is at the main entrance, which has a security system that requires a key card. I don't have one, and I don't want to risk getting caught at the front desk. I walk back to my office and notice that the noise has stopped again. I check the security feed once more, but the cameras show no one in the hallways. I feel a sense of dread. What if they're hiding somewhere, waiting for me to make a mistake? I decide to hide in the break room and keep an eye on the security cameras from there. I pull out my phone and try to find a way to contact the authorities, but the building's Wi-Fi is down, and I have no cell service. I'm completely cut off. As I sit in the dark break room, my mind races. I hear faint noises and see shadows moving through the glass walls. Whoever is in the building knows how to avoid the cameras. I have to think fast. I hear footsteps approaching the break room. My heart pounds as I turn off my phone's screen and hide in a corner. The footsteps get closer, and I see a shadow pass by the door. I hold my breath, hoping they don't see me. The door opens slightly, and I see a figure walk in. It's a man in a suit, holding a flashlight. He's looking around the room, searching for something or someone. I stay as still as possible, trying not to make a sound. The man eventually leaves the room, and I hear him moving away down the hallway. I wait a few minutes before making my move. I check the hallway again, and it's still empty. I need to find a way out and get these documents to someone who can help. I decide to head back to my office and retrieve the folder. I need to find a secure place to hide it until I can leave the building. As I make my way through the darkened halls, every creak and shadow makes me jump. When I finally reach my office, I grab the folder from my bag and take one last look around. I can't shake the feeling that someone is watching me. I move quickly to the nearest exit, my pulse racing. I make it to the main entrance and find that the security system is still active. I'm about to give up when I spot a maintenance door that's slightly ajar. It's a long shot, but it might lead outside. I push the door open and slip through. I'm finally outside, breathing in the cool night air. I take out my phone and dial the authorities, explaining everything I've discovered. They assure me they'll send a team to investigate. I watch as the building's lights flicker, and I feel a mix of relief and anxiety. I've uncovered a dangerous secret, and I don't know what will happen next. But for now, I'm safe, and the truth is out there. The investigation has just begun, and I can only hope that the right people will bring those responsible to justice.